Monday, December 16, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Mayor Terry Darcy presiding.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug. Absent. He did call to let me know he would not be in attendance this evening. Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First, we have a presentation, Axon AI Bundle from Deputy Chief Boatsam.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Take me 1 minute to do the presentation. Okay, so this is, Axon has an Axon AI bundle package that's going to assist the police department in several different ways. I'm going to go through about 9 different products. The first 2 are probably the most impressive, and I'll probably talk on those a little bit more. These other ones I'll kind of skim over a little bit, but if you have any questions as I'm going over any of these, please ask me the questions and I'll answer them as best I can. I also have Julia Bosak from Axon here to answer any technical questions from Axon's point of view. But as we go through this, again, this will make a little bit more sense in kind of what the AI bundle package that Axon is presenting towards us. But I think it's going to be very impressive, and I think it's going to help out the department and the city as a whole. When it comes to public safety, right now we're having across the nation, there's issues with recruitment. I mean, I know personally, we've, over the past 3-4 years, we're about 90% less in recruitment than we've had previously. And we do our best to sit there and, you know, to bring people in, but again, it's a challenge to bring people in here, but it's something that we're seeing across the nation. And then when it comes to the number of calls that we're sitting there and responding to, the calls keep going up. So we're having less officers that are sitting there wanting, you know, to be police officers. We're responding to a lot more calls now. And the other issue is we don't have enough personnel on the street. So we're not at full staff. We're trying our best. And again, that goes back with recruitment and trying to get people to apply. So when it comes to that, we need to be more efficient. AI is an avenue to make this happen. When we're sitting there writing reports, it takes time, but our officers are, again, off the street. They're not responding to more calls. AI has said they can sit there and assist us with this. I'm going to go over some of these products and explain exactly how. The first 2 are available right now. These next ones I'll be talking about will be available in 2025. So we're getting early access to this. Axon approached the Joliet Police Department to be one of about 30 agencies that was offered this. So we would be, again, at the beginning stage of this, which also means we're going to get this at a much reduced cost. And when you see the functionality in this, you're going to agree that this is definitely going to be worth it. It's going to definitely benefit the city. This is going to be a video. It's about a minute, maybe a minute and a half long. And it's going to talk about Draft 1. And what Draft 1 is using AI to assist with report writing. And when we sit there and write reports right now, it takes us a while to sit there and type it up. You got to, you know, use grammar and everything. But what this does is going to assist us doing that. It's going to help create a template using AI. And this video will show it, and I'll explain a little bit more once the video is over.
18th Avenue South, currently separated the neighbors at 29211.
Yeah, I'm just pulling you over. You're going a little fast to the school zone, okay? It's 25 miles an hour and you're going 35.
So we are actively beta testing this currently, and we're having a really good result of this. And we're not the only department around here that's actually doing this. I know Addison up north, it actually has this right now. Lafayette's using this. There's a bunch of agencies around the nation that's currently using this, and they're seeing excellent results from this. And what it does is, you can see, is on our body cams, it takes the audio, and once you're done with the call, the audio goes up using the cell tower and goes up into the cloud, and then they'll start using AI to generate the reports. And once the officer goes back into either a squad or goes into the station, there's going to be a template there that they can sit there and assist them in writing a report, and it's reducing time immensely, and it's a lot more accurate report. And what we're finding is officers using or being more verbal, because it's going to create a much better report. And again, at the end of the day, you know, when we're sitting there talking to citizens in the community, we have a survey that we put out in regards to calls, and one of the things that they keep talking about they want to see more is officers on the street, officers patrolling the area. If they're sitting there writing a report, they're not patrolling. This is going to allow them to be on the street a lot faster and a lot quicker, and it's going to be a lot more accurate report. I've also talked to the state's attorneys on this to sit there and make sure that we had their blessing on this, and we did meet with them, and they were amazed by this also. And again, there's a lot of safeguards in this when it comes to writing a report. As you saw from the video, you can see where it said insert. Those are put in there on purpose to sit there and make some safeguards in regards to these videos, just to make sure that, you know, the officers aren't just sitting there hitting a button, generate a report, and hitting, you know, submit. We want to make sure that they're sitting there looking at the report. There's a lot of safeguards in regards to that. There was a study that was done in Fort Collins PD, where they found an average savings of about 67%, almost 70% of report writing. I mean, think about the amount of time that we get back for our officers by sitting there and not having them writing a report back in their squads, you know, sitting in a parking lot. So the AI era plan, there's a lot of things that are on the horizon. One of the things we're looking at is, when you look at the 2020 census, right now, according to the most recent thing we could find, is 28, almost 29% homes in Joliet right now, they speak another language besides English. Doesn't mean they don't speak English, but they're speaking in a different language. Now, why do I bring this up? Because the next part of AI is live translation and being able to translate on the fly, on the street. Right now, when we have someone that speaks a different language, and the one we come across is Spanish, we have, you know, a lot of Spanish-speaking officers. I don't speak Spanish, but if I came across someone, I would have to call someone to translate. What this body cam will allow us to do is, for, say, me being on the street, I'd be able to translate on the fly. And I'll show you a quick demo of this, so you can get an idea of exactly how this would work and how quick it would work and how this could help out our citizens, especially if something major happens and we're sitting there having this language barrier. We can sit there and communicate much quicker. And we have a lot, not just Spanish speaking here, we have a lot of different nationalities in Joliet. We have a lot of truckers that are coming through Joliet that speak different languages, which we've had to deal with, from speaking either Chinese or Russian. And, you know, we don't have that readily available to us, and we have avenues to do it, but this would be able to do it much quicker and be able to service them a lot faster. So this is a quick demo, kind of showing how it's being done. And again, this is not live, but just showing a demonstration of it.
Officer Beck.
Ok. Mírame, señor. Un maldito carro me
Hold on, I'm going to translate. Did you see the car that hit you?
¿Viste el coche que te atropelló?
Sí, sí, fue un Mustang rojo. Fue en este movió y hicieron una derecha.
Yes, a red Mustang was in this. It moved and made a right.
All units be advised, suspected hit and run driver heading southbound on Bear Parkway in a compact red vehicle.
So you can see how much time that can save. You know, you're sitting there on a call and you're trying to get information out that's parallel to whatever was going on. If I had to sit there and wait for someone in a different sector that speaks, you know, Spanish, I might wait up to 20 minutes. I might not get the information out. This, to me, this is a game changer when it comes to doing public service. I was able to see a demo of, again, this is over 100 languages. This is not just Spanish. And it you know, figures out different dialects and things too, which we've tested. So again, it's AI, it's fairly new. We're hoping this comes in 2025, but again, we're trying to get this early so we can sit there and roll it on the street earlier. I think
Excuse
we'd
me.
be one of the first ones in the nation that would have this.
Excuse me.
Yes.
How does it determine what language they're speaking if it's not one you're familiar with? Does it?
Because it's involving AI. It uses the back end and it sits there and listens to what's being said,
Mhm.
and it determines using, again, artificial intelligence, and way smarter than I am, to what dialect is being used, and then it comes back and with translating that.
So it's starting by listening to the person that you're trying to speak with, and then it takes your voice and turns it into their language.
Correct.
Okay.
So it involved, we have, on our new body cams that we have, there's a bunch of functional buttons that are on there.
Mhm.
So one of the buttons we would basically be using for this and will help translate. So we wouldn't be doing it all the time. Obviously, we'd have to sit there, it'd be that situation where we have to click on the button and then we'd have that translation.
Thank you.
But we've seen the demo and it seems to work pretty well.
Great.
The other thing in regards to translation is right now when we have our body cams, our audio, it gets translated within our evidence.com so we can see what was said on the call. So right now it doesn't do Spanish, but what's coming down the road is this evidence translation where it will do up to over 100 languages. And then we'd be able to, again, me not speaking Spanish, I'd be able to sit there and hit a button that says translate, and I'd be able to see what was being said for a lot more transparency to see what was going on. Because if I have a call and everything's being said in a different language, I don't know what's going on. You know, I'm gonna have to sit there and bring someone that might know these languages to sit there and decipher for me. This will do it for me. Obviously, if it's something very important, I'm gonna get someone that can, you know, confirm it. But just to get a general idea of what happened and what was going on, this will do that for us, especially after the fact. We have Smart Capture, which is basically where you take a photo and it uses AI to analyze the photo. A simple example is you take a photo of a parking lot, it's gonna sit there and identify all the vehicles, the plates that are on there, makes, models and stuff, and put it into a format that we can upload into a report. So, and that's just one example, but we can use it for investigations, we can use it for a multitude of different things. Form 1 is another thing that's going to be kind of time saving, where it sits there and takes the body cam data that's on there and also our CAD data, puts into a populated form where we can sit there and upload it into our record system. Again, it's using AI. And I'm kind of going over these kind of quick just for presentation time. Brief 1, this one was really impressive, and I was sitting there talking to our investigations on this, and I was even talking to State Attorney on this. Basically, it takes our body cams again, which, you know, transcribes the audio of it, and it summarizes it by using AI. It individually does each piece of evidence, and it also does a case summary as a whole. So it takes everything together and, you know, clumps it as one. I'm going to play this really quick. This is another quick demo, just going to give you an idea of what this does, all off body cam with nothing else that was being added to it. And I know they're adding more to it, so it's going to be even more efficient. But like I said, I showed this to our state's attorney, and they were more than impressed.
Fast case review by taking the transcripts from all the component pieces of evidence in the case to generate this output in front. We have a case summary here. We have key people being identified across the case. We see that Paul here looks to be a key witness. You can find those key moments in which he states his account straight by clicking onto the video evidence. We've got key moments, which provides a timeline of the key moments across the entirety of the case as well. Looks here that there was an incident in which the subject was being subdued by the taser. Let's learn more.
Is there anything I can do to help you? No. Stay there. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? Stay there. Taser.
And then all the component pieces of evidence have also been summarized.
So if you take a chaotic scene or one of our large investigations and you submit it into this brief 1, we'll get a much better idea of what occurred, and we'll be able to click to key points without having to go through a multitude of different videos. I think it's going to cut down on a lot of time when it comes to evaluating these cases. And this is something I know we would use in administration, and a lot of times I know investigations use this in a lot of ways too. So, like I said, I talked to the state attorney on this, who were very impressed with this. Any questions on this?
Mayor? So if I got this straight, all of our body cams are the same, or they can, there's no worry about hardware, software, interchanging?
Correct. Our body cams would currently work with this. Same thing with the translation. We wouldn't have to upgrade our body cams. Even with that being said, with our current contract with Axon, we're part of the upgraded process, so if there is a new body cam that comes up, we would get that one, just part of our contract.
So the cameras on the squad or in the squad, there's no voice activation for those, I take it?
The audio, we used to have it where it was part of the squad, it's more part of the body cam now. So,
Thank you.
the other thing really quick is policy chat, again, using AI. We can upload all of our policies into this. Right now, we're using a product called Power DMS, which, you know, if you're sitting there looking for a certain policy, you gotta scroll through things and find. I know if we look at our ordinances, it's kind of the same way. What this will do is you can basically type a question is, I wanna look at our sick policy, and it'll sit there and bring it up for you. So you have to sit there and go searching through a bunch of different documents. But we can also, as I was sitting there speaking to Axon on this, we can upload our state statutes, we can upload a bunch of different documents. As long as it's text-based, we can sit there and make it searchable, which is gonna make it much easier, much quicker for our officers. The other thing is incident chat, kind of the same concept, but what this looks at is data. So it looks at our CAD data, our records data, our LPR data, and with that we can sit there and create reports. And some of the reports that we can create off of this, just to give an example, is, you know, I want to see the number of, say, shootings in a particular area, say Sector 22, for example, and over the past year, and I want it broken up by a line chart or bar graph or something, and it will sit there and generate it for you, or put it onto a map for you that has GPS coordinates. And this is something that we can do on the fly just by asking it to do it. And again, it's just another example of what AI is doing and how it can sit there and assist us. And again, I say this earlier, Axon will be, any future development with Axon, we're gonna be getting anything that's even not currently being developed as part of the Axon AI bundle package. Since we're getting into this so early, there are things that are currently in development we're not even aware of, but we'd be end up getting that too, along with everything else I just talked about. Some of the things that we're currently using with AI, we're using auto transcription, which is currently when you're looking at a video, it auto transcribes the language on the video, which is using AI, which is assists us in a lot of ways. And again, they're going to be coming out with the different languages here soon. Redaction assistant, when we're doing FOIAs, this helps identify faces and helps us do FOIAs and redactions much quicker. Automated people detection is kind of like your phone, where it'll sit there and look at a video and it'll put faces as groups. So if we need to sit there and look for a particular person, we can sit there and click on that right away. Say we have a 2 or 3 hour video, which sometimes happens, we can click on that and save a lot of time as we're reviewing videos. VR verbal skills. We've been using VR for past several years now, and we're doing this in a lot of different ways, and this is kind of adding on to what we're currently doing. So right now we do community engagement scenarios, and we do this every month, and we're also doing taser training on it, and before we weren't doing any of this. And some of the things that these VR, when I'm saying virtual reality, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. You see the Quest commercials and stuff on there, or Meta, I think is what it's called. But we do, like I said, these trainings every single month where we sit in there, we go over autism, bipolar, conflict management, language barrier, officer in crisis, suicidals, and people with schizophrenia, just to name a few. And we do this, like I said, this is something that we're proud of that we've done. We have this training thing that has been recognized by Axon nationally, that they're using our model to sit there and help implement in other departments. And with this verbal AI skills training, like right now we have certain scenarios that are more like computer aided or computer generated, but it's a lot more comprehensive, like you're there. What they're doing here with this VR verbal skills is basically, as you talk to it, it'll talk back to you. It's not just, scripted. It'll actually have a conversation which can give you a very unique type of scenario, which can basically help our trainer officers even better and react to what they're doing, which is what we want. We want that realism to sit there when we're doing our training. And I believe that's it. I think there's a video on this, but it's not overly that important. Responsible AI, again, when you hear AI, you get worried that there's things that are going on that's going to generate things or make things up and stuff like that. Axon, this is their ethical responsibility when they're sitting there developing this. They made sure they take out a lot of things on this so it doesn't sit there and just generate false things, And again, you always want to double check everything, and we want to double check everything we do. That's why we still have the body cams. So if there's something that goes, doesn't seem it translated right, we go back to the original body cam because that's our original evidence. And I think with that, is there any questions?
Mayor, you've mentioned that you talked to a few other cities.
Mm-hmm.
Are they a month ahead of us, 6 months ahead of us, that they've had a chance to use this for a while?
I think they're almost a year.
Wow.
What's Lafayette? For draft one? Are you talking about AI or just draft one? Because
Both, I guess.
the ones that are out right now is draft one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the one that's probably been pushed out the most right now. These other ones are not out anywhere.
Anywhere, okay.
So these are all coming in 2025. But draft one has been out, I want to say for at least a year, right? So they beta tested the draft one. I know we were just up in Addison, we were talking to them, and they're live with it. And in fact, again, the common thing I've ever heard is, you know, they don't want to get rid of it, the officers love it, and it makes the report writing much easier. It's a lot more detailed, and you know, you can understand it better. You know, everyone has their different way of writing a report. It's like doing a template, you know, and it organizes it in a way that it just sounds really good, and it details what happened on the call.
Thank you.
Cool.
So looking at the economics of this, how many man hours do you think you'll save in a day, roughly? Just, I mean, how many reports do you write, and then you save 50% of the time? Is that what it's boiled down to?
Yeah, the average can be 50. I mean, depending on the type of report. Because certain reports you might save a little bit of time. Other reports you can save a lot of time. And then like the study that was done with I think it was Fort Collins, they saved almost 70%. I think we're averaging through our beta testing, it's around 50% right now. But I think it's one of these things where once you're using it and you realize that the more you talk into it, the less you're gonna have to sit there and write. And I think that's just, you know, one of these things where they understand how it works. You know, it's just gonna work much better. You have a much more detailed report. So like man hours and types of reports and stuff in there, it's gonna help out immensely. And I think it's just gonna get better the more and more we use it. And I know there's updates that are coming on this that's gonna make it even work probably better and faster. One of them is like detailed reports or something, where we'd be able to have a much more detailed report. Plus, we can use this not just in patrol; we can use it for different aspects of the PD, including investigations.
One more question.
Sure.
So you said the more they speak, in the earlier example that you showed us, so would they become more accustomed to saying they were speeding, they were going 35 in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, so then they don't have to fill it in, it would just go in automatically into the report?
Yes, it's going to be a much more detailed report, and we beta tested this. We can beta test this here even today because we still have access to it, and we'll do a mock call or something like that. And again, the more verbal you are, the more things that you discuss that you're seeing. An example would be like, say you're pulling up to a house, and it could be a disturbance or something. And the officer can be like, I pull up the house, this is the address, the blue house, there's a red car in the driveway, you know, the license plate, all this will be in the report now. Instead of just the officer just kind of walking up, visualizing and remembering it and putting the report later, now as they're talking, it's going to be part of the report. And it's something that they won't forget, because a lot of times, depending on how the call goes, you might end up forgetting some certain details that the AI will remember because it's part of the verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Will this translate into crash reports?
At the moment, no. Well, let me put it this way. We can do follow-ups in it. So when we're doing crashes right now, it'd probably be in the same system that we're currently doing. Well, actually, I take that back. No, we can do it. I take it back. This system will allow us to do it in any system, right? Yeah, so I apologize. Yeah, we can do it in any system that we want. It's not just tied to Axon, even though it's an Axon product. But yes, technically we can do it in any product, because it basically just turns into a text field once it's created that we can copy paste.
Does this tie back into the computer in the car? Let's say you walk up on something, can it, read the license plate like a flock system?
This does not. I mean, you're talking about the draft one, or you're talking about one of the other products?
Well, as it grows in, will that be a capability it's got?
I don't know. It could very well could be. I know with the smart capture, where it sits there and when you take a picture or something, it takes the like license plate. Right now, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not running anything against it. I think it's just taking that data. But I'm sure the future is where they're going to sit there and incorporate this into a bunch of different products. Probably same thing with LPR.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So let me begin by saying I'm very intrigued at the possibilities here. I think in reducing the ban hours, and as you mentioned, there's still the opportunity for the human intervention to correct any errors. But particularly in regards to the smart capture, I wonder about and I think it was mentioned on the last slide there, how the model is trained to ensure that we're eliminating any bias, because if I'm not sure if anyone else here on the council remembers an example of AI, specifically ChatGPT in its early phases was rolled out, was kind of had an open test online, and unfortunately there were a lot of less than well-intentioned users who flooded the system with negative responses and actually trained the model to respond with some very heinous words, things that were, things that we wouldn't say publicly.
Correct.
So what sort of, and this might be a question for the Axon representative, what is the initial data set that the model was trained on? And can you give us any assurance that, we're not going to see anything of bias, especially in the smart capture, that this is, eliminating any potential for, while it's eliminating human error, how can we guarantee that it's not, that we can eliminate automated error also?
Well, I think with the smart capture, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's just more of like items or like street addresses or businesses or stuff like that. It's just it's looking for text-based type things and just bringing it forward just for you to use within a report. I don't think it's looking at any demographics or anything like that whatsoever.
So it's not making readings about the people involved in the video and then identifying that in that record. Okay.
Are you talking about where we're talking about the video where it's like looking at the people's?
Yeah, and I think it identified the suspect, persons involved, and kind of gave.
I don't know if it identified anyone as a suspect. I think what it did is just identify people and sat there and grouped them together, similar to like what your phone's doing right now, when you sit there and you can pinpoint different faces they're on or your pictures. I think it's just using AI to say, hey, this is a person. This, it looks like this person's in this video at these different parts, and then if you need a quick reference to it, you click on it for that in reference. And then I think when it comes to AI in general, I know she can speak to this way more than I can, but there's a thing called hallucination when it comes to AI, where it generates things, it makes things up, where it uses bias. And I know with ChatGPT, there's a lot of that. Even in today's stuff, there's still a lot of stuff that's in there where it's not really structured or controlled. Where, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you want to speak on this, but I know what has been told to me from what I've seen so far, and like I said, we've been beta testing it, we haven't seen anything like that. It basically bases everything off of what was said and summarizes it. But I think she can probably speak more to it.
I have to pull this down a little shorter than he is. Great question. That was some of the things that I started asking when we first started launching these products, so thank you for asking it. But what DC was saying is spot on. So this is a closed system. It's not going out in like anything that Joliet Police Department puts into their system of using artificial intelligence is not training what we're doing across the rest of the country for other departments who are also using any of these AI tools. And what I mean by that is we don't have access as Axon to any of the police department's data that is put into their evidence.com. That's the cloud that they're using to store all of this. The same goes for anything that's generated from an artificial intelligence machine, so to speak. And so while we're using a large language model to build all of this, whether it be Draft One or any of the other products that are in there, all those hallucinations are turned all the way off, and then we're also not using any of the data that's put in there to be able to bias it in any way. Does that help?
Yeah,
okay.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to speak under citizens to be heard on agenda items? You can please come up to the podium.
Hello all, good evening. I'm going to read off my phone, so please forgive me. So I'm Michelle Arana. I'm the owner of Internote Greenery and Home. We're located at 81 North Chicago Street in downtown Joliet. We've been located there since March of 2023 and are super, super just pleased and just love our community so much. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and read what I have written. At Internote and Greenery and Home, we are a passionate advocate for our small business community in downtown Joliet. Today, I would like to take a moment to address the challenges we and our business neighbors have had to face due to the ongoing city construction in our area. While we understand that progress and infrastructure improvements are essential, the reality is that the construction has brought significant difficulties to businesses like mine. Reduced and decreased parking availability, limited pedestrian access for customers, and decreased visibility has led to a huge decrease in sales. One thing I do want to emphasize is the incredible resilience and collaboration of our small business community. Through dedicated marketing efforts, creative campaigns, Through dedicated marketing efforts and creative campaigns, we and our community have been providing inspiring and impactful, We've been providing inspiring and impactful events for our customers to come to the area. We will continue to work hard to bring new customers despite these barriers, but the truth is for some of these businesses, these reactive efforts could be too late. I would like to clarify the assistance we are asking from the council in our small business continuity grant is not a handout. It is compensation for the disruptions that we've had no choice in. The construction project started with no financial or marketing plan in place from the city. While we do appreciate the improvements like signage and lighting, these examples, again, have been reactive. We will continue to support our community and each other, and we are asking the city of Joliet to do the same. So off of this, what I would like to say is being in downtown Joliet, we have many businesses who have been in the community for years. Businesses like Chicago Street Pub, who has been in the community for 20 years, Blue Taco for 12, Jitters for 20 years. I am a new business. But businesses in this community can survive. They can survive with support. But the decrease in pedestrian traffic, the roads being blocked off, the sidewalks being blocked off, the fences being moved on a daily basis, yes, we understand it's necessary. But our customers are to the point now where even the ones that have supported us are not coming down because they say it's too difficult, it's too hard. I don't know how to get around. I've lived in Joliet my whole life and I still don't know how to get around. So we need the city just to step up and say, hey, we understand this, we understand it's going to continue to be difficult. Again, it's not a handout, it's just compensation. So when our beautiful City Center Plaza is open and able for our local community to come enjoy, we're still there. And we're still there to provide the services that we want to our community to be able to have. We want plant shops, we want restaurants, we want vintage shops and record shops. These are the small businesses that really make the impact. So that being said, does anyone have any questions for me or any of our small business community that's here today? Really quiet.
We understand the plight. You know, I go down there a lot and I know how difficult it is to navigate that area, and we take your concerns and we will work with you on it.
I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I have a question for City Manager. Won't this grant help these folks that's coming up?
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
she's saying.
didn't she
Like,
know?
please
Okay.
consider it because it will really help.
Gotcha. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm Marcel Richardson, owner of Richardson's, and I'll take you guys on a little journey. So I opened this up October 2022, or October 2022, and I have not had more than 1 month not in construction. So with that being said, how did we get here? Where the businesses are struggling. The only way through is through. And we understand with construction, that's what, it brings issues. But it was a very knee-jerk reaction versus being proactive from what we can see. But they put key players in, the city did, and they did awesome. But I believe it might have been a little bit too late. Krista and Paulina have been awesome with the lights and everything, but that came in the end. The signage and stuff wasn't there when we started, and we allowed somebody like John Farrick to write a narrative of what's going on downtown, which literally, I believe, hampered any ability to come back. So that's why we are here. So we went from, and it's a two-folding door. So we deal with patience and resilience. As our patience has been thinning, our resilience has grown. And with that being said, that's it. Through this horrible time, something beautiful came out because we're all working together. We got to know each other more. We got to know people in the city more. They've come down to speak to us, and there is a collective effort. So, you know, we dealt with, personally I can say, I dealt with the Rialto situation. We lost sales there. We lost sales we've had ComEd outages and stuff like that where we've literally lost everything in our store, everything in our restaurant. But with that resilience, we keep pushing. We're there every day. Our Rialto shows are very good. We're good for the city. Many of us are good for the city. And with us being good for the city, it puts the city in a better light, and it'll bring more people down. And in order for that to happen, we all still need to be here. So, with that being said, I think it's pretty evident, as I do see Mayor Darcy, and like I said, people of the city coming around, they see what we're going through. And if you haven't, you really should. So, you know, I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just here to say we are going through a little tough time right now. And on the other end of this, there is a bright road. And we just all want to be there to get to that road. So, thank you guys for your time. And that's it.
Mayor, I have a question for Mr. Richardson.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I noticed, I was downtown on, let's see, Saturday night and Sunday night.
Mhm.
Okay, they were the Elvis impersonator on Saturday.
Yes.
You were closed, but last night, you had a lot of people.
I
Did
was
I have it
open-
backwards?
I was open both days.
Okay, because you didn't have many people on the first night.
Yes, you're
But
right.
last night,
We were
you were packed.
Yes.
So what I'm sitting here thinking, we had to do partnerships with all the businesses downtown, especially with the Rialto. So maybe people don't know about your restaurant from out of town.
Mhm.
And if we could post something like when the Rialto, when you get your tickets, these are the places that you can go, but you have to make an early reservation because we're just a small little place. And not only for your restaurant, but for other ones as well. Because I know 158's always packed and Juliet's is always packed, but they're bigger restaurants. But I was so happy to see your place packed last night.
We are usually packed.
But, you know,
Every
but
single
sometimes
show.
people don't know about you, and that's what I think
Mhm.
we need to do to help you to get that out and work with all the businesses like the Rialto and whatever else is going downtown. To
Absolutely.
let them know about you are open and you can get food there and drinks as well.
What we asked to be done, and Ms. Desiderio did an awesome job. Once you leave the deck, you kind of are guided in order to get to the Rialto. You're guided right past me. So we usually, depending on the show, are pretty packed. So we turn a lot of people away. The first week we counted 92 people when the Rialto opened back up. That's what we turned away. So we do push, being our little business family here, we push each other. So I may push that Interno has a sale. She may push something like we have our first Naughty Bingo event coming up. So we, not only are we pushing for ourselves to be known, we're making events that the city doesn't even have. And that puts the city in a good light. So it takes time. I mean, I don't know if you've ever owned a business, but it takes time to build a foundation. You can't just put bricks up and think it's going to hold. If you have no foundation, you fail. And I found that out. Luckily, I didn't fail. So what we've always done, we focused on the foundation. And we've finally gotten to the point now we can start building bricks. So as time goes on, we'll continue to push forward and we will make people know about Richardson's, in turn shedding a good light on the city, because we decide to, we provide a good service and we want to keep that good positive air in the city.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to get you more help, and I don't think
And I appreciate
we
it.
can't all work together, especially with the Rialto, because they tell people where to park. They can say, well, these places to eat, but call early, and just get the information out there to help you guys.
Rialto has something where businesses, they put your business down. And I know we're on there, Chicago Street Pub, I believe Blue Taco, and the local restaurants. So they know, I believe it's just, once that bad narrative got out, that, you know, every single time Mr. Farrick writes something, it's so horrible. Instead of painting us in a positive light and saying, hey, these guys are doing what they're supposed to do, give them a shot. It may be a little difficult, maybe a little dusty, but the service and the hard work and the spirit of Joliet is still there. That's not said. And that's what was supposed to be said when he writes. But when you're clickbait, that's not said. So this is what we're trying to show without having that social media negativity. When people come in, they're treated like family, and we're gonna keep that good positive spirit going.
And they were late getting to the theater. They were having so much fun at your
Yes,
place.
they were.
Well, because we were right there, and then they all came in at the very end.
Yeah, we had a good crowd, and we tend to have good crowds, and you know it's slower now. It is much slower, but when they catch that vibe at Richardson's, that good positive vibe, I mean it's contagious. So we're going to keep that up. We just need some of your help, and that's all.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Need a literal soapbox. Good evening, everyone. My name is Monica Sisimoff. I am the owner of CNC Vision Gallery at the corner of Chicago and Cass, downtown Joliet. I'm also a Joliet resident of District 2 and chairman of the board for the Joliet City Center Partnership. I'd like to start by thanking the city as well as the Joliet City Center Partnership for their help with additional marketing efforts, signage, as well as some assistance with our parking woes. I'm here tonight because I want to urge City Council to vote in favor of the business continuity grant. I want to be clear that this is not some sort of a handout or a money grab. You have to think of it as a safety net. As small business owners, we're acutely aware of the fact that 1 or 2 bad months can cripple, if not shutter, a small business. Like Marzell said, the air downtown Joliet right now, for me, is like, if you're old enough to know this, like a Cheers. It's where everybody knows your name and we're always glad you came. That magic that we have comes from people, not products. Anybody can have a beer and a burger, but you don't have a Marzell, you don't have the Triznas. You can get a plant anywhere. You can get it from Home Depot, but you don't have a Michelle. And it's the people that make downtown Joliet as special as it is. The downtown business owners have done a lot of the grunt work themselves through creative marketing and combating negative objections to the downtown, but quite frankly, that might not be enough. As business owners, we've invested our livelihood in downtown Joliet, and now we are asking the same from the city. So lastly, I would like for you all, when you're considering this grant, tonight, tomorrow, to picture the end result, picture the beautiful Chicago street cityscape, picture the plaza, picture it all. But picture a downtown without a jitters. Picture a downtown without an Internode, without a Chicago street. And it's a pretty abysmal thought. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak under citizens to be heard on agenda items? Anyone? Okay. Next, we will have the city manager review tomorrow night's actionable items.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We will have appointments and reappointments to the Arts Commission and the Committee on Citizens with Disabilities tomorrow. We will have committee reports from Finance and Public Service. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Approval of minutes, invoices to be paid. Council Memo 59024, award of refurbishment contract for the number 3 blower at the West Side Wastewater Treatment Plant to Roots Blower LLC in the amount of $39,944. Council Memo 59124, award of contract for the 652 Collins Street Alley Drainage Improvement Project to construction by Camco in the amount of $57,509. Council Memo 59224, award of professional services agreement for the Records Department glass window upgrade at the Joliet Police Station to Clear Armor in the amount of $72,922.50. Council Memo 59324, request for authorization to upgrade the Joliet Police Department community room with a new integrated audiovisual system purchase in the amount of $59,042.37. Council Memo 59424, purchase of one new Freightliner National Crane 8100D from Runyon Equipment Company in the amount of $332,024. And then we'll also get a $75,000 for trading in the old one for a total purchase amount of $257,024. Council Memo 59524, change order number 1 for the Bluff Street Interceptor Rehabilitation Project to In Situ Form Technologies USA for a decreased amount of $54,403.25, and final payment number 3 in the amount of $60,411.89. Council Memo 49624, approve health benefit plan options to all retirees. So this item is after we passed, you know, having preventative care and the other things that we're able to offer are exempts now. We started having open enrollment meetings, and there was a lot of issues and questions coming up from the retiree community. So now this change will allow the retirees to have a choice between the current plan or to move to the preventative health care plan. And if they move to the preventative health care plan, they're also offered dental, which we do not offer retirees now. We still anticipate a range between 200 and 400,000 in savings based on who will, you know, take the new coverage. Any questions on that? Onto agenda items. Council Memo 59824, award of contract for the 2025 motor fuel tax or motor fuel purchase to Al Warren Oil Company in the amount of $1,444,100. Council Memo 59924, award of contract for Axon AI bundle, which is what we just heard from Deputy Chief Boatsam on. Council Memo 600-24, change order number 5 for the Joliet Ottawa Water Main Improvement Project to Trine Construction Corp. for a decreased amount of $465,768.17 and pay estimate number 13 and final in the amount of $1,458,013.78. Council Memo 60124, change order number 7 for the Plainfield Road Black to Center Water Main Improvement Project to Trine Construction for a decreased amount of $1,305,802.22 and pay estimate number 10 and final in the amount of $514,329.44. We'll move on to ordinances. Council Memo 60324, ordinance authorizing a business continuity grant program in conjunction with the City Center Partnership and repealing ordinance number 18569. So that's what we had speakers here about tonight, to talk about this business continuity grant and how it will help them survive through the rest, you know, what's already happened in future construction. Council Memo 60424, ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain real property by purchase or by the exercise of eminent domain.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So it looks like we're taking land away from Center Point to create a bridge Is that right?
I can answer this.
Oh,
yeah.
please do.
That is correct. This is just the enabling ordinance. It's like the first step in the process. It's for basically public safety on the annexation agreement, and it's to help get trucks back onto that bridge, the toll bridge, and off of 53.
So does this have anything to do with North Point or Third Coast Intermodal or whatever they're calling themselves these days?
It is, and it's in line with the annexation agreement that we already assigned.
So we're taking from one to give to another
That's what we're trying to do, yes.
for the benefit of?
Public safety.
Public safety, to make sure the trucks stay off 53 and use the whole boat bridge as it was designed.
This was baked into an annexation agreement before most of us were up here, and it was part of the annexation agreement, so it's a requirement by the city to do this. This step of it is that North Point pays for this, and we, as an annexation agreement, have to fulfill that we go through the process to do this.
They pay for the bridge?
They pay for everything, yeah.
They pay for everything.
Including what they'll have to end up paying for the land that they would get from CenterPoint, including the legal work to get this or to get this eminent domain work done. So it's all part of that original North Point annexation package.
So that was already agreed to way before
Yeah,
some of us were here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Then why is it coming before us?
It's a requirement by law when you have to use eminent domain. You have to do an enabling ordinance to get the process started. This is by law.
If I have any more questions, can I call you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Todd's great at responding to things like that. Yeah,
Okay.
of course,
But if I may,
anytime.
Mayor, in the end, like you said, just to reiterate, it's to keep the traffic off of 53.
Mhm.
That's sorely needed, and that's what everybody's been wanting, get that traffic off there. So, I know how you feel, that it's like this, but it's gonna be better than what you think.
Okay.
Get them off the roads.
Thank you.
Next item is Council Memo 60524, ordinance approving the 2025 fiscal year annual budget for the city of Joliet, Will, and Kendall counties in Illinois. Kevin is here to give us a presentation. Or I should say, Director of Finance, Kevin Singh, is here to give us his presentation.
That's weird.
I know you guys know.
An opportunity for a PowerPoint. So real quick, just a quick overview of the budget for 2025. Just go through the calendar. We started this process on June 3rd with the kickoff, formal kickoff for the departments with their budget sheets. Those were due back on June 18th. I'm sorry, on June 18th, we had a meeting at Finance Committee where we went through kind of the budget process, reviewed some major assumptions to go through the transcribing, I'm sorry, to go through the actual process. On July 12th, the department's budget was due to the finance department. From July 22nd to September 30th, the city manager met with the department heads to review their departmental budget. Went through not just the current year's budget, next year's budget, really to dive into what the department spent funds on. On October 15th, we had our first finance committee meeting where I presented on the operational budgets. Those went to the council on November 14th. On November 19th, went through and presented the capital budget to the city council. We had our public hearings on December 3rd. The 2025 budget has 30 new positions. 14 of those are in the police department as police officers. There's 8 in the fire department. One of the fire department positions is grant funded for a community paramedic. The others are to maintain the level of service at one of the fire stations. There's 3 positions in IT. The IT is the internal customer service. They support all of the city's technology, the integrity of our system, and the applications that the departments use. There's 2 positions in public works, office position, and then an engineer to anticipate some retirings that are coming up. 1 position in the city clerk's office, position in community development, and then a position in sewer and water as equipment operator. The budget also has increased funding to make sure that we're maintaining all of the facilities that the city has to avoid any long-term issues. And also the continuation that the comprehensive plan work is underway, and that's funded as part of the budget. Budget also has roughly 30 miles of roads and sidewalks, 41 vehicles, the funding to finish the City Square and Chicago Street project. Also have maintenance improvements to Slammer Stadium, things like structural painting, fire suppression, loading docks, and AV upgrades. Design work to replace and potentially relocate Fire Station 7. And then continuing our roadway landscape upgrades. So those are the beautification that we saw earlier this year. For roadways, a street sweeper, tractor, and then other equipment. 30 new police department cameras throughout the community. We also have included in the budget much needed repairs for the Ottawa Street parking deck. We are in the running or a finalist being considered for a grant to fund 80% of this work. 30 miles of water main, and then the budget does include set aside funding for grants to the Rialto and the Joliet Historical Museum. Once again, there's separate grant agreements that'll come to council that would authorize those funds to go out the door. But the budget actually has a reservation of funds. I believe it's $375 for the Rialto and $250 for the museum. Just some other highlights. Total budget of $661 million. That gets broken out in the general government fund, or the operating fund as most people call it, of $236 million. Government capital, $60 million. Sewer and water operations are just under $80 million. The capital for sewer and water is $30 million. Water main replacements, so we're still continuing with those 30 miles, $114 million. Lake Michigan water project at $53 million. And then just kind of wrap up, we do have a balanced budget. So the only, we have revenues exceed expenses. We are issuing debt. The only debt that our budget issues, I think is no surprise to the council, is for sewer and water, for water mains, and then the Chicago water project. And so I think it's, this budget is about 6 months worth of work, and I think we've done a lot to get here. And I think it's a good budget. Be happy to answer any questions.
On a lot of the sewer and water, that's all part of that low cost financing. That's part of that whole package, correct? So
Yeah, to date, most of the funding has actually been IEPA loans at around the 2% range. We do have a federal loan in the 4s, but received word today from Allison that we will be recipient of additional 2% loans. So good news for the citizens of Joliet that were able to get money so cheap.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somewhere in here that we could find funding just on a, case-by-case basis. I'd like to see an inspector general in this budget somewhere. I mean,
Yeah, there is funding for that in the city manager's budget. Yes.
Yeah, there's still funding there. We plan to fill it early next year.
so we would get an inspector general?
Yeah, yeah, so it's still funded.
Perfect, yep.
And we plan to issue an RFP or RFQ, get applicants, interview all applicants, and select one early next year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, let's see. Where am I? Council Memo 60624, ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, in and for the 1996 Joliet Special Service Area, number 14, which is the Joliet City Center. This is a tax levy that we do every year, so this is nothing new. It's just required by law every year. And then the second one is the same thing, ordinance for levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st and ending December 31st, 2024, in and for the 2009 Joliet Special Service Area number 7, which is Park Hill subdivision. Park Hill doesn't have a homeowner association, and there's a large pond there, so the SSA is to get money from that neighborhood to help pay for the pond.
If I may, the neighbors wanted that. They came to us and
Yeah,
asked for that.
that's-
So that was back a few years back, but just so people know, we're not just taxing them because.
No, this has been in place, obviously, for quite some time, and this is just annual ordinances that we need to pass to continue these services.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. That's good. Council Memo 60824, ordinance amending Chapter 28, taxation, Article 9, retail purchase of motor fuel of the City of Joliet Code of Ordinances. So this we should probably discuss tonight. This is really our response to what a lot of citizens has been asking for us to be able to collect money from the trucking industry to really repair our roads. Right now, the money that we have budgeted will cover vehicles that we need replaced, but then we can't entertain street resurfacing and sidewalks and all the other things that are important to all of our residents. So this motor fuel tax, which goes to 11 cents for trucks and up 1 cent for passenger vehicles to 5 cents, will allow us that money that we need to really provide the services to our citizens that they want to see, like resurfacing roadways and sidewalks and also keeping up with our vehicle replacement plan. You know, I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or Kevin as well, or the mayor, if anyone has any comments or questions.
I'd like to make a couple comments on this. I know a while back, I don't know, Kevin, when did they do the original gas tax change and then took a bond out for $4 million to catch us up on vehicle replacements that we were really remiss in doing for a long time?
I think they adopted it in 19 and the bond was issued in 2020.
Okay, so that caught us up, but that doesn't keep us going. That took us and got us where we needed to get. But this is an ongoing process. You know, we need to run this city more strategically so that we can make long-term plans. We can look at our budgeting for new vehicle needs over the next 5 years, but we need to fund it. We can't just do something, take a bond, and then later on do another bond. What this does is gives us an opportunity to create a strategic plan for vehicle and equipment replacement. And once again, you know, it's taxation again. And I know that I'd heard once upon a time that we wanted to stop it, but you have a bond against the original 4 cents and the original whatever that was for the diesel. So that's paying that bond. But this additional bit of money, it's not onerous to the citizens. I mean, it's breaking it down in simple terms. If you drive a car 15,000 miles a year and you buy all your gas in Joliet and you get 20 miles a gallon, it's going to cost you $7.50. If you get 25 miles to the gallon out of that same 15,000 miles, you're going to pay $6 a year. That will generate somewhere around $500,000, and that's not all coming from our citizens. That's coming from anybody that's getting fuel at any of our gas stations along the highways or anywhere else. But $1.1 million comes from just the additional revenue that the semis or the big trucks are putting into their tanks. And that money can be used then for the strategic vehicle replacement moving forward. That would have been, we would have had to done that out of the general budget, which then is, what do we take away if we don't do this? So we find it's the least onerous way to try and help us find a strategic plan without, you know, lump sum here, lump sum there. This gives us an opportunity to create a runway, and we think it's a small price to pay to help us move to the future strategically. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I have a comment, if I may. I don't think that most residents of Joliet are gonna feel that at the pump at all, because I personally will figure out which gas station in Joliet is the lowest. On any normal day, you can go to gas stations that are between 30 and 40 cents more a gallon. So I absolutely do not think that our residents are gonna feel this one at all at the pump. The diesel may be a little different. I know, though, there's municipalities that are way higher than 11 cents for diesel. This is nothing compared to other municipalities. So we desperately have to do something about the budget, and I give you a lot of credit, Mr. Mayor and City Manager, for getting ahead of it now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll just say that I'm in agreement with what's been said already. I was kind of doing quick math by my own estimations and how much gas I go through in a week, and yeah, I calculated that it'll cost me about an additional $8 in a whole year. So I think $8 for me is not at all an unreasonable price to pay. And it's been mentioned before, how can we create a more equitable taxing system for the shipping and logistics industry in the area, and that's a very difficult thing to do because interstate commerce can't be regulated here at the local level. There's a lot of restrictions on what we're allowed to do and what we can't do. That's baked into the U.S. Constitution, right? That's not something that we're going to supersede through a municipal ordinance. So we do have to get creative with what is in our scope, what we are allowed to do. And I think that a fuel tax, which is going to proportionately be higher on diesel trucks, which obviously are direct results of the logistics industry in the area, is I think a way to create a funding system that a tax base that is a little more equitable to our residents. Because for myself to pay an additional $8 a year, I don't see that as being problematic. But if we're able to generate over $1 million in additional tax revenue that is going to be paid for largely by diesel trucks in the area, I think this is, I think it's a win for the folks who are watching at home. And thank you for kind of breaking it down and explaining it in real numbers, right? Because I think it's easy to see the headline and say, oh, Joliet's going to tax us more, and get carried away with that. But when you look at what is the actual cost to real people, to say this is going to cost you anywhere between $5 to $10 more over the course of an entire year, right? So we have to start, I think it was mentioned earlier tonight, being in control of what the narrative is here, and not just letting people get scared of the headlines that say additional taxes coming your way. We're talking about something in the range of $5 to $10 a year.
Thank you. My mom doesn't drive much, so she wasn't too upset about this one. She's 98, she gets around town a little bit. But thank you.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. Council Memo 61024, resolution to establish a business continuity grant program for Chicago street businesses. Council Memo 61124, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into service agreements with Pace and Kendall County and to accept grant funds under Title 20 of the Social Security Act. This is for the dial-a-ride service and the 511 bus route.
Can I back up a second on the continuity grant? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
of course. Sorry. No, I kind of rushed through. My apologies.
I watched a lot of communities that have done this. I watched Plainfield do this some years ago, and not many of the businesses were able to stand through it. Only a few did. And I think it's imperative that we partner up with our downtown businesses. They've all put their blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of savings into their businesses. And when this blossoms out in the end of 25, beginning of 26, we definitely need them there. And we know that the Rialto is blooming again, and that they're bringing more people downtown. So it's imperative that we support them. I see us do ad orders for this and that for $200,000, $500,000. We don't even blink. So I really strongly believe that this is something that we need to do, is to give them a hand up and to help be their partners, as they've been the city's partner for such a long time. So I just want to make those comments regarding that continuity grant.
Very eloquent. Thank you, Mayor. I think they really appreciate it. And I know we don't have comments tonight, but I wanted, there's a public service announcement of sorts. I'm going to hand over to Jan Quillman. It appears as though there are people posing as our water department to get into people's houses. So we want everyone to watch out for that. She'll give a little more detail about it. But I know Allison's going to post something on our Facebook website, but if you don't have Facebook, we wanted to announce it here tonight. So you can know to keep not let them in, right, Jan?
Right. Well, my neighbor across the street, her mom lives on the east side, and I think she was targeted because her husband had just passed away this summer, and she doesn't speak very good English. So thank goodness my neighbor was with her, They came up to her, I'm gonna have the sign posted tomorrow, they couldn't do it today, but they came with this red and white thing that we're here to check your water. And they parked way down the street in an unmarked car, came in plain clothes, had no ID or anything, but they were talking about this little card that they had, and they said, this is official from the city of Joliet, and we have to check your water. So we have to get into the house and go through your faucets and everything, and my neighbor said, no, you have no ID, you have no car, you have nothing to present yourself that says you're from Joliet, so you need to go away, and I'm gonna report this. So I just want people to know this is a scam, and don't let anybody in that says they're from the City of Joliet Water Department that has no ID and no official clothing on or nothing with the City of Joliet seal. And that's why I checked out right away with our head of the department, Miss Allison Swisher, and she said, we are not doing that. So it is not a water update, which is what they're saying. So tomorrow I hope to have this picture up on here, and Allison, I texted it to her, and she'll be putting it on the websites for people to know. And I'm gonna give Slocum a call so that he can broadcast that tomorrow morning as well. But this is very important, and to prey on people is just, if she wasn't there, she would've got in the house, went through the house, stole whatever she wanted. We don't even know if there's anybody else with her. You know, how they get their attention and the other person goes to the house and ransacks it. So please, 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 there is no water update coming out by the City of Joliet. I just wanted you to be aware.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have public comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Anyone who would like to address the council? Okay, seeing none. I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudron?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.